meeting, and we're going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Chairman Ray.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with the roll call of the Commissioner. Suzanne?
Chairman Lent.
Present.
Vice Chairman Rain.
Present.
Commissioner Capurro.
Here.
Commissioner Cavan.
Here.
Commissioner Howell.
Here.
Commissioner McBath.
Here.
Commissioner Morai.
Here.
And Commissioner Wallace.
Here.
Let's do a roll call for all the county advisory boards, and if you stand up and announce your name and where you're from, and so Suzanne can put them into the record. Roll call for the county boards.
Chris Smith, Washington County. Paul Dixon, Clark County. Gil Young, Carson. And Johnson, Rowan County.
Rick Burnside, Douglas County. Billy Williams, Mineral County. Jed Mullington, Elko County.
Kevin Strozzi, Knight County.
Shane Warren, Oliver Brunson, Whiteline County.
Now, Paul, did you want to announce that you're not representing Clark County because they didn't have a quorum and you're representing yourself?
If you want me to right now, sir, I was going to wait till the agenda.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Anybody else we missed? Okay, welcome everybody. Next item on the agenda is member items and announcements. Any commissioner have any announcements or anything they want to put on the future agenda? Commissioner Howell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we should put that bear hunt possibility on the agenda for August. If NDOW could get some recommendations to us and put it out to the cabs and maybe have a bear hunt soon.
Okay, we can put that on the agenda.
We can certainly talk about it. There's no way we're going to be able to come with a proposal for a
No,
bear
no.
hunt. We don't have the data, but we can certainly have Carl there and talk about what he's doing, what he's collected, what he's planning to collect, and what we need as far as the litmus test for recruitment information for a proposal. And then maybe we could talk about how long it would take, once the data were in through the commission process, it would take to actually have regulation in place for bear hunt. I think there may be some regulatory action too. I'm not sure there's a price for a bear tag. Bear is listed in the list of game animals, but I'm not sure there's a, so we need to look at that too. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, you could tell us what we need and get it out to county boards and see what the county boards think of a possible bear hunt and what we need to do.
Sure.
We'll put that on the next agenda. Any Commissioner Cavan?
After our discussion yesterday on the deadline for the draw, I think we have some inconsistencies that we need to take care of, whether we want to change the application deadline time of the deadline, whether it's going to be 5 p.m. for electronic or if we're going to change that, but at bare minimum we need to at least get everything consistent between the department publications and the websites for the contractor systems consultants. So I don't know if that needs to be an agenda item or if that can be taken care of internally, or
It's actually, I looked it up yesterday, and Don Sefton helped me find it. It's in your commission regulations, it's in your season and bag limit that you set every 2 years. So when you change that, it's due to be changed next year. You can just
we can
change
do
it at that
point
time.
in time.
Yeah.
Well, what you're saying, the website for NDOW and the website for systems should be the same. They both should
Consistent.
have the time on it and the date, not just the date. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's one of the things, and then but it needs to be consistent, and we may want to look at changing the web application deadline to another time, 11 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock at night or whatever. So that may be something that systems can give us a recommendation on, and we can act on it at that point in time when it comes up on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Capurro?
I would agree with everything that the commissioner said. I would like to ask this question, though. Would it be possible, at least in the interim period of time, since it's already posted as 5 o'clock on the website for SCI, Systems Consultants, if it would be possible to just post the 5 o'clock for now deadline on the department's website, so that wherever they go, they'll see that it's 5 o'clock. We can talk about changing it to 11 or 11:30 or whatever at some future time, but it seems to me like it's unfair to residents and non-residents alike if they go to one site and it just says a date, no time, and you go to the other site, both of them independent, and it has a date and a time. So I'm just wondering if, I guess in this case, the departments doesn't have the 5 o'clock time on it. Would it be possible to have them insert the 5 o'clock for now until we discuss a different time?
The answer is very simple. Yes, we'll take care of it. So.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll ask Bob to have staff put together a staff report, identify every place that the draw deadline is mentioned in regulation and on operationally on all the documents that we produce, and then make sure that it's all consistent. Then if you guys want to change from 5 to 12, that's your purview, but we'll make sure that we dot all the, it's odd. You never know that these problems exist until it bites them somehow, and you go, oh gosh.
Mr. Chairman, the only place it appears to be absent is on the website. All our printed material is consistent. It's 5 p.m. The only place it doesn't show up is on the website. We'll take care of it.
And let me say this, my comments aren't meant to criticize anybody, it's simply to make sure that.
Oh, no, it's a good.
That the sportsmen know exactly what they're dealing with when they go on those sites.
I agree.
Now, we have, where we at, we've got a regulation coming up that's gonna give them additional time, and it's gonna alleviate the problem, because that's being drafted out now, isn't it? The regulation to, that 5-day, they can apply for a bonus.
I believe so, we're working with, yeah.
So we should have that in place by next year, so that would alleviate this problem. So if somebody forgot to apply 2 days after the draw, they can still reapply for bonus points. I think that's what is in there.
Yeah.
So if the commission approves it, then it would solve the problem for next year.
The way a lot of this stuff happens is you develop a new product, whether it's public information, things like that fall through the cracks. So what we need is lay everything out that we publish for the hunter, for the draw, like that, and have somebody say, okay, is the draw deadline prominently displayed? And the yes or no, if it's no, we'll make sure it's on there.
Really unclear.
Okay.
That's the only way to solve that.
You got any other questions, Commissioner Cabinet?
No, I think we can just work it out with staff.
Okay. Anybody else have? Commissioner Rain?
Just a brief question. Do we have a timeline for that additional regulation to extend the deadline for bonus point application?
Well, we have to have,
August,
we have to have it,
September?
yeah, probably, because we have to have it ready to go for March when we start selling licenses, so maybe back up from there, so it'd be November, December, I would think is the latest. That would have to be completed, because it takes 30 days with the legislature and everything else.
So we'll see it
August, September.
September?
August, September,
Okay.
would imagine.
Thank you.
I have one additional announcement. I want to, this is going to go to our Attorney General here, and I want to Brian, and I want you to research and bring back to this commission any statutes that this commission would have for recourse for unsubstantiated claims against public officials for the purpose to harass without adequate basis, and statutes like Rule 11 of the NRCP, Ethics 281A, NRS 41, or the Administrative Procedures Act. There might be something there to bring back and see if you can find anything on that. So I'll give you that direction to do. Anybody else have any announcements? If not, we'll go to the next item on the agenda, the County Advisory Boards of Managed Wildlife member items. Anybody?
We had 2 cards here with that on it. One was Paul Dixon, the other was followed by Thomas Brunson. I just didn't state that, so.
Paul Dixon, Clark County Cab. As the chairman mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, and for the audience to know today, is that Clark was unable to pull a quorum for their meeting due to unexpected circumstances of several of our board members. And so today, when I speak on any given agendized item, if I don't mention it, I'll mention it now for the record. I will be speaking as myself on that because I can't represent a quorum board position from Clark County. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Brunson, followed by Rick Smith.
Sorry, I missed this part of the meeting yesterday. It's for the mule deer restoration. This is just a report of habitat enhancements benefiting mule deer that have occurred in the county in the last 5 years and what's being planned in the next year or two. Corresponded with the BLM and the Forest Service to get a list of what they have completed and what's in their plans. They completed the stockade chaining, approximately 3,000 acres in Unit 112, the north end of Area 11. Ward Mountain stewardship, removal of pinyon juniper in 400 acres. Williams Creek, Dixie Harrow, they took out some sagebrush and seeded some forbs and grasses in 221 south of town. Christmas tree wash, 1,000 acres of sagebrush was treated with Dixie Harrow. Gleason prescribed burn, 900 acres of pinyon juniper and mountain sagebrush were burned in 07. The Gleason stewardship, 57 acres of pinyon juniper were thinned south of Highway 50 to release grasses and forbs. North Spring Valley prescribed burn, approximately 2,500 acres of pinyon juniper removed in 2006, 2007 in North Spring Valley. Sacramento Pass, another 400 acres of pinyon juniper were thinned. In their plans, Stonehouse, approximately 4,000 acres of pinyon juniper are planned to be chained along the east bench of the Shell Creek Range, north of Shelburne Pass in the north end of 111. More chaining, approximately 3,500 acres scheduled for 2011 south of Shelburne, again in Unit 111. Smith Valley stewardship, it's here in Unit 121, approximately 1,100 acres of pinyon juniper are scheduled to be thinned. And Coombs Creek, again, it's in 121, 3,500 acres of pinyon juniper are being thinned. BLM's actually been real proactive in removal of pinyon juniper. That's kind of real high on their priority list here lately. Water developments, now we move on to the U.S. Forest Service. They've done a little more in the water development of things. They put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guzzlers put in, and they're planning on another 2. Most of those are all occurring in Unit 131 and 132 south of town here. They've got a bunch of edge treatments too. The current prescribed burn, 2,000 acres, reseeding of 1,000 acres on the east bench of the Grant Range, reseeding of approximately 3,000 acres of Lamson and Cathedral wildfires in the White Pine Range. The current prescribed burn, current triangle pinyon juniper removal, another 330 acres. Sagebrush mowing and seeding in White River and Ellison Creek. Conifer removal in aspen stands of Upper Ward Mountain. White Pine sagebrush restoration project. Removal of encroaching pinyon juniper into sagebrush habitats. And it was a hand removal with chainsaws and mastication. 2,000 acres in 2010, 2,000 in 2011, and 1,000 acres in 2012. The central white pine pinyon juniper removal, it's going to be a hand removal of pinyon juniper in 12,000 acres, 2,000 acres per year starting this year. The Lowry WUI project, thinning of pinyon juniper around the city of Ely, 300 acres of mastication completed in 2009, and an additional 700 acres is planned, as well as some prescribed burning. The big one they got coming up is the North Shell project, and I don't necessarily think they planned it, but it's a similar area to the BLM's North Shell project. The Forest Service is planning on treating 35,000 acres in a 78,000 acre project area from Kalamazoo Creek to Shelburne in the north end of 111, and it's planning on beginning in 2010 this year and continuing for several years, and it's going to be mostly like let burn, prescribed fire type of thing. And then they have the Ward Mountain project, another prescribed burn in pinyon juniper and mountain brush, and an Ativan prescribed burn treating 2,000 acres. That's in 131 or 132 again. And then the South Shells Duck Creek pinyon juniper removal, and that's hand removal of encroaching pinyon juniper in Duck Creek and the South Shell Creek Range. And that's kind of what they gave me, is a list of what they've completed in the last couple of years and what they've got in the plans. I think they're all headed in the right direction with large scale. Pinyon juniper removal is kind of the main focus. So I think it's going well. Hopefully they get done as much as they're planning on getting done. So
They sound like they're very, very active, huh?
they have been historically very active here with prescribed fire, and they've been doing a lot of chainings, a lot of brush mowing. They seem to have been doing a lot of kind of experimental testing with different things to find out what's releasing the least amount of noxious weeds, and growing the more native grasses and forbs to blend all that back into more of a mosaic instead of decadent sagebrush and pinyon juniper. So.
And their funding is okay, huh?
Funding, it could, as always, it could use a bunch of help. The Elks Foundation's kicked up a bunch of money in, a lot in the Guzzler projects. Mulder Foundation's putting a Guzzler in a couple weeks in project area in the north end of 111 in White Pine County there. But as always, I think there's definitely an appetite for more. You know, if they're applying for some heritage money, or some of the conservation organizations would, I mean, it definitely couldn't hurt. There was a bunch of money available, the SNPLA, the Southern Nevada money, that's where a lot of the money's coming from to get these projects rolling.
Anybody have any questions? Commissioner Howell?
Did that fire that was going on west of 318 on Friday, that was part of your deal? Huh?
Prescribed, I'm sure, yep.
That was probably that current.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know this is the time of year they're trying to get as much as they can done before it gets too hot and dry around here.
Yeah.
Our burn season's usually not until September here, so they try and get everything they can done in May and June. In May this year, you couldn't burn anything, so we still had 2 feet of snow on the ground, but it seems like they're doing a good job so far. Hopefully we get some starts this year, because a lot of that upper elevation fire, just in my personal opinion from what I've seen, as long as they keep that fire in the upper elevation, it does wonders, and it doesn't take very long for it to come back. Just that lower country, you start burning that lower country, and that's when you seem like you get into trouble. But they're doing a lot of chainings and hand thinnings down at the lower elevation to try and bring the understory back up into the pinyon juniper before it burns again, so that there's at least a seed base. So we'll find out.
That's good, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
And Rick Smith was our last one part on this.
Rick Smith, Washoe Cab. What I have here today is kind of a spreadsheet of the heritage projects that were approved at the last meeting. I had requested Director Mayer and his department if they could put together this spreadsheet to kind of see all the projects, how they met NRS 501-3575 and NAC 501-300, NAC 501-320. And those are the statutes requirements that heritage projects are supposed to meet. I understand this is the opinion of the department. I understand that. But I thought it would be good for everybody to take a look at and kind of see, at least in the department's opinion, how well these fared against the requirements. Where I'm going with this is somehow heritage projects, I believe, need to be evaluated before they're voted on to see if they meet all the statutes, or most of them, or, you know, if they're adequate. And I believe that step is missing right now. Certainly, you can't ask the department to do this evaluation because they proposed half of the projects for the heritage projects. So you wouldn't want them. So who would be the one that really should be evaluating these projects? There is a heritage subcommittee. Should it be there? Maybe. Maybe should the commission appoint a group of people that have the knowledge and experience and expertise to evaluate these. Maybe somebody from the department, maybe some from the commission, maybe somebody from outside, I don't know. But my point is this step seems to be overlooked and missing in our process. And I'll use the example 1117, which was the lion depredation. It met NRS, but the only NAC that it met was, does it have a project description out of 8 NAC statutes? I really think that we need to take a look at this and fix this, because to me, in my opinion, this is a problem. So I have copies that I'll put on the back for anybody in the public that would like to look at this. The other thing I wanted to bring up is I have a quote from Commissioner Lent addressing the Board of Agriculture in March. Quote, "The commission decides where heritage money goes by law. No one has any other say in it. So we delegated it for sagebrush rehabilitation for whatever we want to do. No one has a say in it but us." I'm sorry, but I kind of take a little bit of offense to that. I think maybe it's out of context, maybe that's not what he meant, but I think there's a lot more people that should have say in where the heritage projects go. That's what you have the cabs for, that's what you have the public for. You know, I really wish that the voice of the public and the cabs would be listened to a little more than they have been, but I just think that comment was wrong, so I'll give you a copy of this for the minutes.
That was all unless there's someone that didn't specify on their cards. As that was everybody that had a card
Okay.
with that written on it.
Anybody else with the cabs? If not, I'll close that item and go to the public comment period. And it's limited to 3 minutes, and make sure you fill out a card if you wish to speak. And since we don't have an adequate clock, Vice Chair Rain will hold up a red card to donate 15 seconds to the end of your testimony to give you a little idea. Do you have anybody on?
Nobody specifically listed that. Got a bunch of cards.
Did you fill out a card?
He did fill out a
Absolutely,
card.
sir.
Okay, go ahead, Paul.
For every item but this one. But that's,
I tried for you, Scott.
You
I
did
didn't
very-
put
you did-
all this
you're
time. I
very
actually wrote
complete.
numbers for you. Paul Dixon from Clark County, representing myself here. At previous commission meetings, I have asked, as a representative of the Clark CAB, to have the commission consider forming a wild horse subcommittee. We had Dave Pulliam come to our board meeting that we had in Vegas a week and a half ago, and he talked about the wild horse meeting that was held in Denver, Colorado with us. And at a minimum, I would request that the commission consider having wild horses as a standing agenda item and have an update from either NDOW or somebody on the commission that's following things, so that we can keep the public informed of what appears to be something that we have victories and then we have losses, but there's some language in the new stuff that they're coming forward with that would suggest that they're going to make sections of Nevada basically wild horse preserves, and wild horses would take precedence over all wildlife first, and then other wildlife would come in. And I think that would be of concern to this commission. And I think having an outbrief of that at the commission meetings from NDOW, who are attending these meetings, to you and to the public, would allow us to formulate ways to do things, whether or not we have a special subcommittee, sir. Thank you.
Did you have that on your agenda? Clark County?
This time,
Yeah.
I do not know if I had it on my agenda. I don't remember.
Well, that's a good idea, and I think we should put it on our agenda, and we'll put it on our agenda next time to have a wild horse update, and you can put on your agenda and then give us all the information that you get, and I agree with you. It's something that they're gonna, they're trying to subdivide the state in areas, and we should update, have an update on that and we'll put on the agenda, and then that way all the cabs will have it on their agenda too.
I just think that when we start putting wild horses as the top undulate in certain sections of the state, it's going to be to the detriment of our wildlife.
And they're doing a aerial survey up in the Sheldon. They're gonna do 2 surveys, in Hard Mountain now. And they're gonna get a more accurate count, hopefully a more accurate count. And so that's something that, it just came out recently. Commissioner McBeth?
I was just going to point out that at that meeting, after we didn't get, there wasn't a quorum, Dave just happened to mention that he had come from that meeting, and it basically sparked a pretty lively discussion about wild horses. Every time we start talking about it, it ends up being a big discussion amongst everybody, and so anyway, I just want to let you know the context of how it came up in the meeting.
We'll keep updated on that on the next agenda. Commissioner Cabral?
And Mr. Chairman, just to follow up a little bit on yours, as I understood it, that survey is going to cover, horse survey is going to cover 4 million acres of northwestern Nevada and northeastern California and parts of the Heart Mountain, Oregon area. So we should have a much better idea of what the number of horses are in that, particularly in our case on the Sheldon, and that I understand those results are supposed to be available next week, and there'll be an ongoing effort to update it. But that's the first, positive thing I've seen with respect to trying to get a handle on exactly how many horses there are within, the areas that we have some real concerns for wildlife on.
Yeah, it's big business when the rancher said, we have the same thing with Soldier Meadow Ranch, where he said, I'll take, I don't know what the number was, $200 a month per head, and he can make more money on that than grazing cows, and it's private land, but it's not all fenced, and that's going to affect all the wildlife, and so there are ranchers who want to do that, and they volunteer to do it, so that's
Well, there's ranchers claiming that they can keep horses cheaper than BLM, and so they're putting cost incentives out there, like I'll do it for 50% of what BLM will store horses, and so it's capturing a lot of attention, and I think it's something that we need to watch closely as a commission and the public to make sure that we protect our wildlife here.
right.
Even though horses are part of that wildlife scheme, they need to be managed within it.
We agree, and we'll put on the agenda, and all the cabs can see what they get from the various sections of the state, so that's a very good idea. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? If not, I'll close the public comment and go to the next item.